let me know with the camera. So tray at the front of the room that'll have some butter on it, probably for you. You can just grab that, take it back to your kitchen, and then you can gather some bowls, some measuring stuff, all this you can put on your tray to bring up to measure at the supply counter. Okay, so sous chef is going to gather that. All right, so first thing I'm going to do is that when I'm reading my recipe, I'm going to just measure everything out. So I'm going to go down my list. 1 egg. When you are choosing eggs, you want to make sure that you avoid any that have cracks. Choose one that does not have a crack in it from this container. If the eggs are cracked, it was probably during shipping and bacteria could have gotten in them. So you want to make sure that you're choosing one that's whole. Okay, so egg and then vanilla. Okay, so for the vanilla, you are going to, you will find your half a teaspoon measuring spoon. You will read it on the side and measure yourself half of a teaspoon. Okay, and again, this is the manager that's doing this tomorrow. And your bowl. When you are measuring your egg, I recommend cracking on the countertop instead of the side of the bowl. Does anyone know why I might recommend that? Absolutely, so you don't get shell in the bowl. So, crack it on this countertop. Break it open into the bowl. Toss your shell into a garbage can. Okay, and the very first thing that you want to pay attention to is if you got any on the countertop. So why do I need to worry about raw egg? What foodborne illness might it contain? Salmonella, yep, okay, so I did. I got just a little bit here on my countertop, and I want to make sure that I am being nice and clean and getting that picked up. You don't want food anywhere around where you're spraying chemicals, so make sure that any food has been pushed off to the side. Okay, so I'm going to wipe that up. Okay, with the cleaner first to get off any grease or dirt. Okay, then the sanitizer kills any bacteria. Okay, keeping your workstation clean while you are cooking. Okay, now that that's safe, I can move my chemicals back out of the way, and I can beat my egg together. So for this, you are just going to take your fork and beat together the egg with the vanilla. Okay, once it's well combined, make sure you're putting your fork in the sink. Okay, so you don't cross-contaminate later. So that's done. Okay, then you're going to measure half of a cup of brown sugar. What do you know about brown sugar? How is it a little bit different than some of your other ingredients? What do you need to know when measuring it? Yeah, exactly. You're going to pack it down. So there'll be brown sugar in a bowl. I'm just going to use some pressure to push it against the side of the bowl. Is this half a cup? Okay, no, what do I need to do? Okay, I've pushed it really hard on the side of the, so it's definitely packed down. Okay, say it again. Level it, thank you. Okay, so use your straight edge spatula. Sorry, I know you guys can't quite see this. And then you are just going to, hopefully I packed that enough. If not, push it a little further. Okay, and then level that off. Okay, so there's the brown sugar. Okay, next I need white sugar. Okay, white sugar is where? Where are you going to find it? What location in this room? Flour and sugar are different because they're always in your kitchen. So hopefully by tomorrow those canisters will be filled up. Okay, if not, for some reason it'll be up here, but it's always in your kitchen. So get a heaping half a cup, then take your straight edge and level off so that you have exactly half a cup. Okay, so there's sugar. Then I need flour. Okay, so when it comes to flour, okay, the most important thing with flour that students tend to maybe make mistakes on is they over measure it. So they stick their measuring cup down in there and they push it like this, okay, to get their half a cup. what I've done is I've just compacted all the flour down into the cup. So you want to measure your flour nice and lightly. I use just a spoon to slightly overfill it, and then go back and level it off. That way you're not getting too much flour. You don't want your cookie dough to be dry. Don't forget the 1 1/4 cups of flour. Students tend to maybe just do the 1 cup and forget about that extra smaller one. You need both, or else your cookies are going to be liquidy. Okay, so as much as this may take extra time to sit here and scoop out all of this flour, you are going to get a more accurate measurement that way. So just pull, level it straight off. Okay, so now you have your 1 1/4 cups of flour. Next, you are going to have your salt. Okay, so salt's in a container like this. It says salt on the top. You'll peel it off. Okay, I'm going to get a smaller dish, either a custard cup or this is called a mise en place dish, to measure this. So I'm going to dip it down, use my straight edge to make sure I have a 1/2 teaspoon, put it in my dish. Okay, this can be combined with the cinnamon and baking soda. So all of our spices come in containers like this. They're big and tall. You are just going to open up the lid, and the nice thing about them is they have this straight edge right here that you can use to level off directly from the container. So I need a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. Just going to tilt the, if it's low, you'll have to tilt it. And then you can see I have lots of cinnamon on there. You are just going to pull using the straight edge on the lid. Okay, so there's salt, cinnamon, and I need baking soda. Does anyone know what baking soda does? It makes it rise, okay? That is called a leavening agent, okay? Leavening, okay, with an N, not leveling, leavening, and that is a term that you need to know. So you need to measure accurately. So how much should I measure? A teaspoon, okay? So find your teaspoon, make sure it says teaspoon and not tablespoon, and get yourself some baking soda. Does anyone know, so baking soda is a chemical leavening agent. Does anyone know any other types of leavening agents? What other things might make stuff rise? Yeast is a biological leavening agent, and it does make things rise, so that's a great example. Any other things that might make stuff rise? Leavening agents that you know of? Baking powder is another chemical leavening agent, very similar to baking soda. Okay, good. Both great examples of leavening agents, and again, makes things rise. So I put them all together. Set those off to the side. Now I need what? What comes next on my list? Wheat germ, amazing. So wheat germ is going to be in a jar like this. Don't be scared. All it is a portion of the wheat itself. It has kind of a nutty flavor. It's very, very nutritious. So it's the internal portion of the wheat kernel. Lots of extra vitamins in here. If you made this at home, you don't have to have the wheat germ. You could leave it out. It's not going to affect the recipe. Again, it's just a little touch of nutrition, and you won't even be able to tell. Trust me, you'll have no idea that this is in your recipe. It will not really affect the flavor. Okay, so my 1 tablespoon of wheat germ. Okay, now I need oatmeal. How much am I going to measure? 1 cup. Okay, so same thing. It's going to be in a canister. Okay, that looks like that. So you are going to dip measuring cup down in there, come up with a heaping cup of flour, and then level it off. It's a little bit chunky, so it's a little bit more difficult to get exactly 1 cup, but just do your best. Level that off, okay, and it can be combined with your wheat germ, okay, in a bowl. So there's that ingredient. Okay, so far I have raisins and chocolate chips left, so I'm going to go ahead and measure my chocolate chips. Please measure them accurately, as tempting as it may be to measure more. Okay, don't snack on them. Okay, get your 1/2 cup there. Okay, 1/2 cup of chocolate chips. Okay, and then your raisins. Okay, again, they're going to be in a bowl in the front, soaking in water. You do not want to add the water to your recipe. So just again, your supplier will bring a strainer over. and you are going to drain them. All right, so now you have your raisins, which have been soaked in water. It's just going to give them a softer texture in the cookies so they're not really hard when you bite into the raisins. Okay, that's really the only purpose of soaking them. Okay, it's to have a soft texture in the cookies. So, I'm going to set that off to the side. And now I have all my ingredients, which means I can finally start. Okay, be patient with your suppliers tomorrow as they are getting all of that. So from here, this is your KitchenAid mixer. It is an expensive piece of equipment, so you need to make sure that you are being careful with it. In it, you will find 3 different attachments, okay? They look like this. For this recipe, you are going to use, and for many of them in this class, the all-purpose paddle attachment. This is called a paddle attachment. That's the one you're going to use. You do not need the whisk or the dough hook for this recipe. So you can set those aside. Okay, other things that you need to know. The bowl itself has 2 little holes on each side. Those fit into 2 knobs on the mixer. There's also a little knob in the back. Okay, so it will lock into place before you start. The handle should be facing you. So you will put on 1, 2, okay, the sides of the bowl into these knobs, match them up. Okay, from there, you need to pop the back down. So snap it down like that, or else it's going to be too loose. It could break the mixer. You don't want to be responsible for breaking this expensive mixer. To get the bowl off, you just pull the handle up towards you and it will come off. So set up your bowl first. Okay, then from there you can set up your paddle attachment. So when, you can't see it right now, but I can be around to help you tomorrow. Right here you have a little notch. You're just gonna slide it up, give it a twist, and drop, and it's gonna be locked in. Okay, and I can help you with that if you need it. Okay, other than that, here, there's gonna be a lever on this side that you can use to raise the bowl and lower the bowl, okay, as needed. And you are going to see this notch, which is what turns it on. You'll see a speed lever. So always start slow and then speed up as necessary. Okay, so we are ready to go. Okay, combine eggs and vanilla in a small bowl and set aside. Done. Okay, cream together the butter and the white and brown sugar. So take your butter, put it into your mixer. Okay, from there you'll add butter and white and brown sugars. Okay, white and brown. Get right in there. If you measured the brown sugar correctly, it'll almost look like you were making a sandcastle. Okay, so you packed it down really well. Okay, from there, you are going to turn your mixer on slowly. Okay, and as you keep going, you can increase your speed. And you are going to start creaming. Again, you are waiting for the sugar to break up the butter completely. Okay, this should be one solid consistency. You want it to look like wet sand almost when you're done. If you can pull the butter from the sugar, you haven't done it long enough. Keep going for quite a while. You hold it between your fingers, it should almost feel like the sugar is starting to dissolve a little bit. Okay, once you have done that, okay, you'll see that it's all one consistency. I hope you guys can see how it's all one. Okay, you can't tell the difference between the butter and the sugar. Now I can add, my next step says to add flour, salt, cinnamon, and baking soda. So I'm going to add my flour, both the cup and the quarter cup, and then my salt, cinnamon, and baking soda. From there, I'm going to slowly turn on my mixer. Flour will go everywhere. And I'm going to let that incorporate. Sometimes students will complain it seems a little dry in the end. I think it's those first couple steps of letting it cream long enough and then like really allowing the flour to incorporate in this step that's going to make this come together and be not quite so dry. Okay, so from there you're going to blend in, okay, we'll stop it, your egg mixture, oatmeal, and wheat germ. Okay, so egg mixture, pour that in. If you want to use a rubber spatula, try and get some of that out. You can. Okay, egg, and then oatmeal and wheat germ. So also oatmeal and wheat germ in that step. And again, turn it on slowly. And this is another one. It's going to look really dry at first, but as you continue mixing it, it should start to come together. Just turn it up and let it go a little bit if it's looking dry. Just be really patient. Okay, at this point it has come together. Okay, so now you're going to add your chocolate chips. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pour those in. Okay, I can use the mixer to allow those chocolate chips to get mixed in. However, now that they are mixed, I would not suggest doing that with your raisins. The raisins are going to bust and it's going to be a big gooey raisiny mess. Okay, so I recommend doing that by hand. So your recipe does tell you, okay, to incorporate and fold that in by hand. So okay, from here, you can either use a rubber spatula to fold it in by hand. I personally just think it's easier to mix it in by hand. It allows you to break up the dough a little bit and mix in those raisins. Okay, again, gently folding those in so that they're not breaking and busting everywhere. Okay, from there, you now have your cookie dough. Okay, I recommend when storing your cookie dough, store it in kind of a disc shape instead of a sphere or circle, kind of a little bit flatter like that, because it gets really hard in the fridge, so when I bring it out the next day and you're starting to roll it out, it's going to be easier to work with if there's more surface area for it to warm up a little faster.